Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going back to the world of analog and getting into this Hitachi D-E25 cassette deck today. Decided I wanted to do something a little bit easier and more manageable, so I figured, well, let's pull this thing off the shelf and get it done and get it out of here, because this is one of the decks that I bought cheap so I could have something to put on the channel that I could later donate to the charity thrift store. You're going to notice that I'm gloved up today, and that's because we've got a Class 10 nightmare of a belt scenario in there, because they're all melting and turning into tar, and I just don't want to get my hands that dirty today. So, yes, this is a fairly decent cassette deck, I think. Fairly full-featured. We've got metal tape support. It says right there, 4 metal heads. So, yeah, not really too much to look at in the way of features, but it'll get the job done, I'm sure, for somebody. So let's get it done and get it off to its new owner. And I'm noticing that front panel's a little bit dirty, so I'm going to see if I can try to clean that today as well. But in terms of actual service, I think this is just going to be a general maintenance kind of thing where I just get into the transport and make it work again. I'm not really chasing the lowest wow and flutter numbers possible with this deck. I just want to get it done and get it out of here. So let's do that. But first we got to get the cover off. And as I'm looking at this, I wonder how easy it's going to be for me to get a screwdriver into this thing to adjust the speed later. Probably not very, but I think the first thing we're going to do before pulling the transport is just to clean up as much melted belt goo as we can here. Sorry guys, I'm really tired and I'm just really not feeling like working too hard today, so if I make mistakes, that'll be why. Or at least that'll be my excuse. We'll have to clean this sliding switch too. I'll probably do it the lazy way and just shoot contact cleaner in there. That's usually all they need anyway. But I guess we'll start by taking off the record mechanism. I'll just point this to the camera here, or point this out to the camera here, which hole the spring is connected to down on the sliding bar. If I can do it. Yeah, that's hard to see. Right there. Now we can see it. It's on the top hole, the very top hole. So I'll have to remember to put that back later. But I can just disconnect the spring now and get it out of the way. Sometimes these Hitachi decks are a little bit troublesome to service because there's a bunch of plastic gears and stuff that can break in here, and I just worry about finding that stuff in a Hitachi deck because it can be difficult to deal with. But first things first, we got to get rid of all this old belt goo. I will get out a paper towel already. You can't see it, but it's right in front of me and between you guys and the deck. And actually coming up with new belts for this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to have to use the measurement method. Looks like we've got a 4-belt system here. There's the Capstan belt, there's this belt, and then the counter belt. Got to do all 4 of those, and all 4 of those will be the cheapest belts I can find. And it looks like it's actually not too hard to determine which belts go where. Like this pulley and this one are on the same plane of existence. And then this one goes down to the inner pulley on this side. So, yeah, it should be no problem to figure this out. But just getting the old belts out is going to be a mess like you wouldn't believe. Take a look at this. Nasty, nasty. So lots of cleanup to do on this one. But we'll get it working. And in terms of DAT decks, the Pioneer D-07 has not left Japan yet. I decided to buy a few more tapes for it. I remembered after last week's that DDS tapes will actually work in DAT decks. Well, not all of them. Some of them don't work as well, but DDS is basically DAT for computer backup purposes. And the tapes I've got coming are 90 meter and 120 meter. Basically DDS1 and DDS2. DDS3 and 4 are very hit and miss with the DAT decks, so I didn't want to bother with those. And should be mentioned that the 90 meter DDS tapes are good for 3 hours of recording on a DAT deck, and 120 is good for 4 hours. And I don't know that the decks I have are going to be happy with the 4-hour ones, so we'll see what that's like. But I couldn't resist them because they were literally 20 bucks for like 10 of them, so I had to have them. Plus, with the Pioneer supporting 96 kilohertz sample rates, which involves running everything in that deck at double speed, I figured maybe the 4-hour tapes would be useful for that. Maybe. I'm just smearing tar all over the back of that thing. Wonderful. Terrific. Great. Grand. Oh, this is just disgusting, cleaning this old belt garbage out. I feel like I'm wasting my time just trying to get into this without making my hands dirty, so let's make my hands dirty. So eject the door, take the door off, close the door, and then figure out how the door comes out, or how the transport comes out. Let's see, I've got a screw down here that goes into plastic. That one clearly has to come out. Okay, which other ones have to come out? There's these two up here. They probably have to come out, but I think I'll pull the faceplate one here instead of pulling these two here, because the faceplate has to come off anyway. Let's see, what are the other screws that have to come out? Does this one down here need to come out? I'm thinking it probably doesn't, but then again, yes it does. It goes all the way through into the base. So that one's out. We got more, of course. Check that out. That's all the belt stuff I've gotten out of there so far. And I'm not even really getting into it yet. So maybe this has to come out. Yeah, I think it does actually have to come out. I didn't want to take these two out, but I guess I have to. Yeah, we're making progress. What's left under here? Absolutely nothing. I don't see a thing. We've got this and these two. They're all in a row with that other screw I just took out, but there's no screws on this side of it. I bet you we got to take the face off, though. I betcha, I betcha. Hitachi can be not so obvious when it comes to pulling their decks apart, as I have found on multiple occasions. My Sansui D-E25R was just a pain to service, as well as the RCA MTR-118. Both of those are Hitachi decks. And you might be asking yourself, when is he going to get to the D980M? Well, I'm hoping to do that before the end of summer. That and the GXR88. We're going to do the last video on that deck before the end of summer, I hope. And I do mean last video. Okay, faces off. Do we get anywhere with this? Not really. Got a plastic carrier. So we're going to have to pull this off and this off. I don't see any nuts to hold the potentiometers in place, or the knobs in place, or whatever you call them. Okay, what do we get with this? Well, we get a bunch of wires that have to be freed up. So that we've got clearance to do things. Okay, here's the counter belt. What's left of it. This is going to be one of the worst belt jobs in history. I can just tell you that now. Something's come off over here. No, something has not come off over here. Okay, so we're going to have to free up or disconnect some things. Doing the Capstan motor right now from back there. Let's see. Got a wire tie to get rid of. And these go back here. Zoom you in so you can see what I'm disconnecting a little better. Right now I'm disconnecting the heads. And there's another connector up there. Just goes down right there. But on the other hand, it looks like we've got a bunch of individually connected wires back here that we might have to disconnect. Oh, and there's a couple of other 2-pin connectors here. These are going to have to be marked because they're the same as the ones I just disconnected. Right here and here. That's what we've got to mark, I think. I don't know if they actually go to the transport or not, but we'll figure that out in a second here. Because the transport is loose. Okay, let me get rid of this wire holder thinger so I can see what wires do what. Okay, which of these actually need to be disconnected? All right, the yellow one has to be done. That's this one here. Just a single pin connector. And then there's this one. The other one, the other 2-pin connector, does not need to be done. So this one has to come out. And we have to mark this one. So I'll get my green Sharpie here and we'll do that. Set the transport down so I can do it a little better. Just make a green dot or something on this, like so. And then I'll see if I can do a corresponding mark somewhere on the other side of the connector. There, that should do. Basically, I just colored it in green right there. So, transport is out and we can work on it. Hope this works when I'm done with it, but if it doesn't, it was cheap. Under 50 bucks for this one. Extremely in budget. Well, the flywheel's going to have to come off for sure. Just trying to take a look at how things go here. The record linkage actuation is kind of done through this little flywheel here. Kind of interesting the way they have it. But yes, it doesn't look too difficult to get into. So we'll set it up like so and start taking screws out. Long screw there. How long is this screw here? Not, well, actually that is the same length. Okay, never mind. Okay, that's off. And it looks like they actually used half decent grease in here. That's this gray stuff. I don't mind when I see that because it's usually holding up better than the usual lithium grease does when it's this old. Even so, we'll put new stuff in there. And it looks like the damper pulled out with this, so we'll have to remember that. Okay, here's the door damper right here. This damper is just for the recording mechanism. Okay, do we have an oil control washer for this capstan? Yes, we do. So we're gonna have to get that off. If we can get a pair of tweezers under that thing. Hope the pinch roller is good because I don't want to replace it on something this cheap that I'm just planning to give away for free. Okay, washer's out, and here comes the flywheel. Not a very weighty flywheel, but what are you going to do for a cheaper deck? I'm just going to use my paper towel and get as much of this gunk off as possible. It occurs to me I kind of need the WD-40 trick for this. And again, you want to watch it with WD-40. You have to clean it off before you start putting decks back together, because the stuff will eat a new belt. As in, destroy it. So you have to be very thorough with cleaning afterwards if you use WD-40. But it does break down rubber, so for really messy belt situations like this, it's kind of useful. New paper towel. We'll just do that again. But anyhow, back on the subject of that DAT deck, I am impressed with how much I've actually come to like that deck since I got it going. It's just so overbuilt, it's crazy. So I'm gonna have to see if I can figure out a way to keep using it. I don't know what I would use it for, because DAT decks are basically everything that goes in comes out exactly the way it was recorded. They don't really add any character to the sound. But I'll think about it some more. I could put some really, really long vaporwave mixes on those 4-hour tapes. And that's probably what I'll do with it. Use the incoming Pioneer to record them and the DTC-1000 to play them back. And this flywheel is actually cleaning up now. This is good. We like a nice clean flywheel. Even when they do this to our gloves. So no mystery why I wanted to glove up today. And I think I'm done with the WD-40, and I'm going to have to start on the acetone, because I don't think I'm going to get away with isopropanol, but this gear will dissolve with acetone probably, so I'll take it off and I'll clean that separate with ISO. Okay, I'm at the point now where my gloves are so dirty they're contaminating the nice clean flywheel, so I'll just pick it up with the paper towel and put it aside. Grab the oil control washer that goes with it, put it down there. And now we'll do this. I'm seeing a lot of that nasty orange grease that goes solidified in the rest of the deck, so maybe this won't be quite as easy as I was hoping it would be. But we'll see. As soon as I clean up the belt goo enough, I can take my gloves off, but I'm not at that point yet. But this gear is starting to get a little more clean, so I'll just grab a pipe cleaner, soak it in isopropanol, and we'll go through the middle because I did see some nasty stuff in there. Okay, let's pull this over here. Zoom out. Okay, we've got some stuff to extract. There's a little spring right here on the capstan. That will have to go back on exactly as it is, with the bulgy outie side facing down. So I'll put it on the flywheel the way it goes back on and watch it defy me immediately. Iso alcohol around the capstan bearing that's back here, and I'm going to have to use ISO again to chase the bearing through because there's a lot of plastic in there. I do want to do new oil. So I'll just use the same pipe cleaner I was using before and go right through. See if I can grab it from the other side. And I'm only really doing this because there was so much garbage from the belt residue in this transport. Otherwise, I'd just re-oil and be done with it. Okay, I think we're going to try and clean up the rest of this now. Not exactly sure what to do about some of this grease, because I don't really want to take this apart that far, but we'll see what we have to do here. I'm not sure about this black gear, how it comes out, or anything. It doesn't actually look like it comes out. And yet it must somehow. It may be part of the pinch roller pivot here. Not exactly sure. Hitachi does weird things with their transports. But first we'll take this thing off. That's not glued in place, thankfully, with old nasty grease. We'll go ahead and re-grease it, but it doesn't have any nasty grease that has turned to glue, at least not yet. Might have been heading that way, but not anymore. Just cleaning out the inside. Let's see, how about this sliding plate here for the mode selection? It actually looks fairly well moving. I'm thinking about taking off this big gear here and lubing underneath that. And I think we'll be using Lubriplate for the majority of this, because this is not a situation where I would want to use the expensive stuff. And I've got so much Lubriplate that I don't see the need to use up the good stuff on this particular deck. Okay, so remember the way this is. This little pinion is up to the right, and This big slot is by the Capstan. Oh, no problem. And it looks like they used the good grease on the inside here. And there's a roller here. But look at all this nasty grease over here. So yes, maybe I clean that up and make it happy. And we'll start working on this. We'll just do this first, I think. Clean off the old gray grease, even though it's still good. And we'll go in with new Lubriplate 105. And look, more belt residue, of course. Might be some thunderstorms too later today. I'm hoping so, because I haven't literally shot any lightning yet this year. It's been that bad a year. But we'll see. It's probably not going to be anything yet today either. Just because nature's been that stingy with the thunderstorms. Oh well, what are you going to do? Alright, this gear seems to be okay now, so I'll put it off to the side and I will start working on this old yellow grease, because this is the bad stuff. This is the stuff that goes gluey on you. I don't know exactly how good an idea it would be to try and take this plate off, but I'm kind of thinking about it. But on the other hand, I don't really want to work that hard today. So do I just leave it or not? It actually feels a little bit sticky, so I would like to get this off and clean under, but how do you deal with this black gear here? I don't want to break it. I just don't know how this comes off. If it even does come off, it might not come off. Maybe we'll go around to the front real quick. And we'll see if taking the pinch roller off does that. Ugh, the pinch roller doesn't look good in this thing either. Terrific. So this is a non-split washer I'm going to have to fight with here. Put that off to the side, and we'll get in here and take the roller out, which is basically coming off anyway, all by itself. Actually, I don't know. This roller might clean up, so put that to the side. Grab the springy dinghy out of here. I'll figure how that goes back on later, I guess. It's a little bit weird shape, but oh, I see. Oh, wait, no, I don't see. Never mind. I would bet the way it goes is kind of like so. That did absolutely nothing for this. This looks like the end of a solid shaft or something. I can try to pry the gear off, but... oh, wait. Wait just a minute. I got it off. What we got here is a little pin. Okay, I'm on to you now, Hitachi. And yes, there is nasty old grease under there. And we've got a sliding linkage here. This will have to be held up out of the way while this goes back on, I think. Yeah, that's how that works. But I want to take that off and do some cleaning. So we will remove the spring. Put it down yonder on the paper towel. And good, there's no spring tension left, so we can go ahead and take this plate out. For lubrication. It's so nice to have a deck that I'm not worried about making mistakes with, because if I make a mistake, all I gotta do is hand this thing off to the recyclers instead of the charity thrift store. Okay, plate is off, and look at all the nasty yellow grease under there. So yes, this did need to be done, and this is clearly the mode selection side of this. I have to remember to watch my video clip length with this, because if it's over 12 minutes, then the iPhone renders it into a file that cannot be read from the computer. It has to be split up inside the phone and then transferred over that way, and it's just a nightmare, but whatever. Next phone I get will not be an iPhone. I'm just sick of their nonsense. I originally went iPhone only because Samsung wasn't supporting eSIM technology at the time. I've just been kind of sticking with yes, that's the word, stucking. I've been stucking with iPhone ever since out of inertia. But they're making it inconvenient enough to strongly consider switching back to Android. So I'm thinking we're going back to Android next time. Okay, that's just about cleaned up now. At least on this side. It's not clean on the other side, I'll tell you what. Grease over here, grease over there. Grease on all these plastic sliding posts. Okay, do I have to get deeper into this at all? I can. It doesn't look fun, but I can. Zoom out. I'll show you how this plate goes. Or rather, show the camera. There's this this arm that goes up to that plate. There's actually multiple arms here. There's one here that goes on top of that little tab. One here for this little tab. This is basically a sliding spring assembly or something. But I kind of want to get to this linkage right here, so maybe we keep going into the back side of this thing. What do you say? And I just got to remember to move all the spring tabs up to where they're supposed to go before I put screws back in. So let's have fun. Let's take things apart. I love taking things apart. Ask my parents about the vacuum cleaner incident. It's been a pattern all my life. Oh, and I see a spring that's probably not going to cooperate here if I go too much further without releasing it. Oh, I see. This is the upper spring assembly I'm taking out right now. I've got a spring assembly in two parts, basically. It seems. Okay, how does this go? There's this little do-jangler that goes back down through the assembly over here. It looks like a little arm of some sort. It's just a little spring, so I don't think I have to worry about it, but see, how easy is it going to be to get this little thingamadoodle off? Oh, I see. It's held in place right here. There's this little teeny tiny clip or something, or tab, or whatever you call it. So this has to be swiveled upwards or moved upwards, and then it can be removed. And we'll watch for this little arm over on here, and that's how that comes out, and that's how that looks. Don't really see any grease under there. Oh wait, yes I do. It's all over the this other plate here that's about to come off, and that's the one I have to release the spring on. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. There, you can see the spring there. Spring released. And let's see. This is retained by that same tab, I think. Just released one of the springy arms on this thing. It's actually held in place with other tabs. I can point them out in a second here. But there's other things I need to point out, like there's this spring that's retained over here, right down there. That's going to come unloaded. We're going to have to put that back. And then the tab I'm speaking about is right over here. It's just a circular area where it's where this little metal plate's being held in place. Okay, what are we caught on now? All sorts of things, and that spring up there by the idler wheels has just released. I'll show you where it is now. It's gone way up over there, so we're going to have to bring it back down here to reinstall. Good thing I'm getting this all on video, because this would be a nightmare to remember, even with my memory. Okay, then there's this little thing up here. I want to re-lube that, but I think I want to do this area over here first, just so I don't forget where things go, because I could see myself forgetting. I'll release this spring and put it over here by the capstan. And now we can get this sliding plate off, which has a bunch of that nasty grease on it. Screw comes out, plate comes off, and yes, that has to be relubed and cleaned and other stuff and whatever and whatnot and so forth and so on and on and on and on and on. At least this thing should work well again once I get done with it, if I'm relubing to this extent. See, that linkage is moving all right, but could be moving better, I guess. Just trying to get all the old nasty garbage grease out of there. I don't think I want to take this out, actually. Or do I? I've already torn it down to this extent. It's probably not that difficult to do from here. Basically, like I said, we're taking the entire mode switch apart. Spring just fell off, and oh, there's more nasty glue. I mean grease. I mean glue. I guess we'll do a full relube on this whole transport. That's the way things are going with it. Okay, what else is in here to relube yet? That might be for the head block. It's for something, I don't know what. And I think I've reached just about maximum take apart for this. Oh, look at this. Terrible. And this was being held in by a ring of some sort. Actually, I think I'm getting into oil and not to grease around this part of it. That's just a plastic ring, it's not rubber. But yes, grease like that, it has to go. Oh, this thing's in like 500 pieces already. I'm gonna have to watch back my own footage just to put it back together, I'm sure. But at least whoever gets it will have a decent working tape deck, I hope. Trying not to speed run through this thing, but I'm also trying not to forget where everything goes. Okay, so that goes in, basically in the orientation it is now. Let me get the lubber plate ready, because we're about to start putting things back together back here. Well, kind of. There's a lot more cleanup to do yet. Is it going to be like this when I get to the D980M? Don't answer that. I don't want to know the answer to that one yet. Although I will say it's not as bad as the grease that was in the DAT deck from the last couple of weeks. That grease really was completely done. This stuff still has a little more life in it, but wouldn't have been too much longer before it seized up, I don't think. Again, I'm not really particularly concerned about the gray grease because it's still good. It's just the nasty orange stuff that needs to be done. And I don't want to get too much further into the linkage, otherwise I'm going to start not being able to put stuff back together properly. Okay, so we had some grease here, some up here, some over here, 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 over there, over here. Okay, so as you can see, I've got some of the linkage back in without going on camera with it. It's just I needed to double check and triple check all my footage. So I needed to, yeah, basically figure out where exactly I was putting everything. And I think I've got, at least some of it is going back together properly. There's a lot more stuff I would like to apply grease to, so I figured I'd go back on camera for this. So I'll take my lubra plate here and a dental pick. Just get some grease on the dental pick, and I will just try to get the grease down where I think it needs to go. Just basically around any of these pins that are down here, because these engage and disengage the mechanism, and I'm not sure if they're adequately greased. Most of them have that gray stuff on them, but I don't know how good the thing's gonna work afterwards, if you know what I mean. This linkage should have really come out for thorough re-greasing. It's kind of hard to get access to it because this thing up here is holding that down and in place. Well, I suppose I can probably still get to it if I really feel a need to. But do I feel the need to? That's the issue. That is the conundrum, because if I get to it, I have to take out this linkage again. How good is it moving? Well, actually, I might be able to spot lube that with the Molykote syringe, and then I don't have to worry about it. What I do have to worry about is getting this thing out. So I guess I'll do that next, since I've already started putting the other side together. I don't have to worry about that side anymore. Okay, yes, more nasty grease to deal with. I'm glad I got lots of isopropanol, because I am going through it today. Big time. Okay, I'll set that down there, and I'll just clean up the idler linkage over here, because it's got some of that grease on it too. And now, can I get under here to clean this off? Yes, I can. Thank you, Jesus. And what's even better, I don't think I have to use my Molykote syringe under there. I think I can just get the lubra plate in there with a dental pick. Yes, indeed. I might actually be using too much of the stuff, but the way this mechanism is designed, I'd rather use too much than not enough, honestly. Okay, that'll move fairly well. I didn't need this grease up here, so I'll take it out. Okay, what is next? Well, I guess I better put the rest of this crap back together If I can figure out how it came apart and in what order. I think this goes back in next, if I remember correctly. There's a bunch of arms here that are going to want grease, I'm sure. Look, you stupid arms. The luber plate is for every arm, not just you. Don't be greedy. That's more like it. I gotta say, this is the most unnecessarily complicated transport I've ever seen. I'm just gonna do a light coating over the entire underside of this. And basically the way I know that this is the underside is because of the way these arms are. They were pushing down on various parts of the transport here. It's probably more than enough grease. And I may have to consult my footage again to get this back in, because it's not the easiest thing to get back in there. Yeah, I guess I gotta pull this one down in order to get that arm in place again. Which is going to be a pain in the butt. Just because of how this bloody transport is engineered. And I use the term engineered loosely at this point. Hitachi does not want this to go back together easy, apparently. Okay, I got it. Thank Christ for that. Okay guys, so you'll have to forgive me for not getting the reassembly process on camera, but it was just too much of a pain to deal with on camera, so I needed all my footage, so that's all there is to it. I got everything back in, I think. Not sure. Not 100% sure anyway. I think everything's moving well. We'll just have to see when it goes back together and starts trying to actuate things again. But I did get it back together, so next part will be to lube up the this other sliding plate here, and then hopefully get everything back in place. That is probably way too much luber plate, but whatever. Just trying to get it back in where it needs to go without blocking all these screw holes in the process. Just kind of putting some on my gloves and putting where I think it needs it. And it probably needs quite a bit of it, so this is why I'm using the luber plate, not the moly coat, because just don't want to run out of the moly coat is all. And I've got so much luber plate to go through here. Let's see, where do I need more grease? Do I need more grease? I don't think I do need more grease. All right, Q-tips. Clean up the black gear. Probably go right through the middle too. It looks like there's enough room to shove a Q-tip through there. Maybe not. It's going. It went. So the black gear has been greased. Well, not greased, it's been cleaned. The greasing part comes now. I'll get a little luber plate on the shaft here. It turns on. Block the hole with the stuff. A little more grease on the sliding portions and the cam portions. That should do the job. Let's see. Push that up, install gear. I think that's all right. Grab the pin for it, reinstall. I hope it's right because it's reaching a point where it doesn't want to turn anymore. And this concerns me. I think it's all the way down. Let me just check. Yeah, I think it's in place. Pretty sure it's in place. If I'm wrong, we'll find out the hard way, of course. A little more grease around where it needs to go and around where it doesn't need to go at the same time. I'm probably smearing grease everywhere where I don't need it, but whatever. Cheap tape tack. I'm not really that concerned about making mistakes on it. So we need this big yellow or big white gear now. I'll drop it in place where it can re-engage this roller here, because that's going to need to go in the center. I've already added grease to the shaft, so I forgot to put a spring on. So why don't I just put that spring on, which is infested with old nasty grease. See if I can wipe some of that crap off first. And I guess that's right. There was a bunch of grease up here underneath where that spring was. Pretty sure that's how that goes. Okay, moving on with our nasty Hitachi. Now that we've done the control linkage and everything related to it, it seems like we'll have to deal with this part of it. And I'm not sure if I'm... Well, actually, I know I'm not going to take this part of it apart because there's a spring under here, and I just don't want to mess with that. But we still have to clean off a lot of nasty belt goo from both of these. But thankfully I'm seeing a lot of the good grease in this part of it, so I think we might be okay there. And in terms of these belts going all the way back to the Capstan motor, they don't. The Capstan motor only engages with this one and this one. So it's probably going to be something like a triangular arrangement for this, which means I'm going to need a long belt for that. I hope I've got one. I don't know if I've got one. So yes, the belt that goes around this pulley also engages this pulley and the Capstan motor. I think. And further back on the Capstan motor is where the main flywheel belt goes, and I'm going to have to take this motor off because there's a lot of nasty belt goo to clean up in there. Thankfully it's just the one screw from here, because the other screw that holds this on also holds the rest of it on. And this screw is the same type of screw as that, so I'll put it up with the rest of them. And we have to clean this as well and re-lube the front bearing, and hope to God that none of this belt goo got into the front bearing of the motor. You know what? I'm going to take the motor off of this plate as well, because it's that bad. Set that down like so. Oh, look at this. Just terrible. Absolutely awful. I've never seen anything like this before. Anything like this bad before, I mean. I'm going to have to bring in the WD-40 again, because That's the only way I'm going to get this clean, I think. Because we got belt wrapped around everywhere up in here. Okay, folks, I got the Capstan as clean as, or the Capstan motor about as clean as I can get it. It was just nasty in here. There were bits of old belt all over the place here, and I don't know what that green stuff was, but I had to get in there with a dental pick and literally scrape all that stuff out of there. Actually, I needed to put away the dental pick as well because it was too big to get into the very center of it, and I had to use my tweezers to get the center of that done. But it is much cleaner now and possibly ready for a belt. But the rest of the deck is not ready for belts. I have to clean up all of these pulleys now. It's going to take me all afternoon, I'm sure, at this point, but it's got to be done. So let me crack on with it, and then after that, maybe we can figure out what belts this thing's going to want, because I don't even know at this point. Okay, folks, as you can see, the gloves are off, and that's because I've got 90%-ish of the belt goo out of this thing, even down in there. This area was not possible to reach with a Q-tip. I had to use these little teeny tiny swabs in order to get in there to clean that pulley out, but thankfully I had them, and thankfully I've still got tons of those, so not too worried about that. But I think the next thing we're going to do is try to figure out what belts this thing needs. And I'm going to go over to the computer in a second to see if I can find any documentation whatsoever about this. And then maybe that way I can figure out exactly what the belt routing is supposed to be on this. I think this is the auto stop right here. That's what it looks like it's doing. But I think this pulley goes over to only this pulley. And then, yeah, like I said, this pulley, this one, and then the upper pulley on the Capstan motor comes into play with this one. But I just want to kind of double check and be sure, because, yeah, let me see what I can find. Okay. So I managed to find the service manual for this deck, but it wasn't very helpful at all. So basically what we're going to have to do is to just try and figure this out. I think I've got it right with this intermediary belt here, but we'll have to see. And the way this mechanism is built makes me think that it wants a 1.2 millimeter square belt for this particular belt, but I don't have anything that'll work because of this is going to be a longer belt, so I think I'm going to try my 1.5s there. As for this one, I think 1 millimeter is the right call for this, and the Capstan belt's going to be the Capstan belt. As you can see, it's back in because we need to measure, so got to do the twine trick on this. The Shania twine trick, if you will. See if I can get this in here at all to measure this little guy. It's not making it easy at all. So basically what we're going to do is take a measurement with the twine, cut the twine off, and then deduct 10%. Then that's the belt internal circumference we're going to want. If we can even get the twine back in there to get on the pulley. And now we have. Good. Yeah, wrong pulley. We need the inner pulley. And be aware that there are felt clutches in here to worry about too, so keep that in mind. All right, so right about there ought to do it. And we'll ignore these two strands that are sticky outy over here. And there's our first belt right there, which is 125 millimeters. So deduct 10% from that. So we want about 112 millimeter belt internal circumference for this one. Divided by 2. Yes, I am using a calculator, even though I could do it in my head. 56 millimeters. We need a 1mm by 56mm belt. And I got tons of 1mm belts now, I will tell you. This is a whole new package that just came in from AliExpress. 54, we'll take it. We will take it and we will like it. Well, we'll take it. We may not like it. See if I can get this little guy on here. It's going to be tricky getting this thing run. But we'll do it. It is on. And it feels a little bit loose, but I think it's still going to work. If it doesn't, we'll find out the hard way and have to correct when the deck is back together. So we got one belt in. This one's going to be fun because we're going to do the intermediary belt now. And there we go. Here comes belt number 2. Stretch her out, do a measure. We have about 240 millimeters on this one. So minus 24. Again, I'll do it by calculator. Actually, I'll go a little bit more because it's a little bit under 240. So we'll go minus 26. 214 millimeters internal circumference. So 107 on a 1.5 millimeter belt. Half circumference, and I hope I've got enough because my other 1.5s never showed up. Order those things again. Or maybe they did and I can't find them. Either one is possible. That's 110, a little big. That's also 110. I hope I have one. This may not be rebeltable. That's 101. That's going to be tight. Maybe it'll work. Let's try it. If we can. Again, I really think you would want to use 1.2 millimeters thickness, but I don't have that. So we have to do with what we've got. And this is what I've got. Yeah, this is a very thick belt for what this pulley's going to want. And I'm going to have to take it off again anyway because I got to thread the capstan belt first. But we'll just check it here. Yeah, that is tight. I want to go a little looser on this. So what's the next loosest belt I have here? Oh, we'll try this 110, I guess. About the best I can do for this. All right. Yeah, we're gonna go with this one. It might be too loose. We might have to replace it again, but we're gonna go with this one. If we can get it back out of there. Okay, so this belt is 110, so 220. I will set it off to the side where I can keep track. And we'll find the main capstan belt next. And we're gonna have to do this again, by the way, on the front side for the counter belt. But we'll worry about that later. All right, main capstan belt. It might actually not be too far from the one I just put on there, but whatever. We won't worry about it too much. I got lots of twine. I don't have to worry about running out. Okay, so how can I do this so I can see what I'm doing and so you can actually see what I'm doing as well? Okay, this one's gonna go around like yonder. If I can just grab it through the hole here. There's probably still some old belt residue left, but whatever. Can't do much about that. It's not on the pulley yet, but it is now. Right there. Put the twine away. It is not needed for the rest of this. And what do we need for a capstan belt? We need $270 minus 10%. That would be about $240. Around there, somewheres. So $120 from the big package of Chinese belts. These belts are still okay. Haven't used them in a while, but they seem fine. They could use cleaning. That's $116 right there. That's a possibility. $112, that's smaller than the one I just pulled out. How's about this one? $113, still smaller. $115, same size. How about this one? This is challenging. I might have to open up another Chinese belt pack. $127, too long. Might have to go with the other one I just got out, even though it would be a little tight. Yeah, that's the same size again, $114. I hesitate to get out any PRB belts for this because how cheap it was. I'm going to go with this one. I think that's going to be the best option among the Chinese belts. I'm going to have to clean it before it goes on because it did kind of feel nasty, but whatever. As long as we can dial up the right speed in the software later, it'll work. So, where are my Kim wipes? Where did I put those things? Just a little isopropanol. Should do the job. It wasn't very dirty, which is good. Okay, now, this belt goes on first. Has to, because it's the inner side of the capstan motor. And in order to do this, I am actually going to have to take the motor back off. Now we'll see if we can get this belt seated. Looks pretty seated to me, I gotta say. And we gotta get this other belt back on. Somehow, in some way. This is almost as bad as working on a Sharp, of which I've had a couple. Which reminds me, I gotta get to finishing up the Optonica direct drive deck. Oh, went the wrong way. There. That's not really moving well. That feels like there's an awful lot of tension on the capstan motor. I think I gotta find a better capstan belt. So let me see if I can do that off camera. So I had to open up a new package of Chinese belts to get this one, but I think it might work. That's what we get on this one. It's 242 millimeters internal circumference. It's not the widest thing on earth. It's a 3 millimeter belt. But as long as it gets the job done, who cares? I've got this other one here I was thinking of putting in. I think this is a PRB belt that was just lying around loose, but it's roughly the same size or thickness, so I think we'll just go with this one. So I'm going to clean this one off too and install it, and we'll see what happens. Okay folks, that's it. That's the belt. 242 millimeter internal circumference. I think we've got our deck belted again here. Little spot of grease on that intermediary belt, but whatever. And now I can put the back plate back on, and we can go around to the front side. This thing has a rubber idler. Pray for me. So apparently I forgot to put a couple of screws back in. These two black ones right there. Oh well, they're back in now. Gotta put everything back together again. And then we'll go on to the front. Okay folks, I found something while I was putting it back together for the second time that we need to talk about. Check this out. Oh, come on, focus. The flywheel is cracked. So this is never going to wow and flutter like a new deck anymore. It's just not possible. And as you can see, there's still a little bit of residue on the flywheel, but I'm just not going to worry about it. We're just going to throw it back together and get it working as is. And then whoever gets it next can just deal with it. And this here is why I'm not spending a whole lot of money on parts for this thing. If it's cracked like that, it's just a waste of money to put a whole bunch of cash and time and whatnot into this. Okay, coming back to this on a separate day for me and the same day for you to get into the front of this. And you'll notice that I've already got the beauty plate off. That's because I came to realize in the time I was taking a break from this deck that the entire transport can be operated with the bench power supply just sitting out here out in the open like this. So I figured I would try to do that just to be sure that my belt routing was proper, and it's a good thing I did that too, because it wasn't. Let me show you how the belts are really supposed to go on this deck. This is how it's supposed to go. This belt, the intermediary one, goes over top of this pulley, not underneath. Basically what they've got going on here is, if I can find something to point with, this pulley here drives the take-up drive. I'll show you where it does that in a minute or five in the front of the deck, but basically if you have the belt on the wrong side of this pulley, it'll spin the take-up reel backwards and it won't work. So that's basically what that is. And then over here, this is the assembly for the fast wind. So that's what that does. And then as I mentioned before, this over here is for the auto stop. We'll show you how that works in a second also. But I'm going to fire it up real quick so you can see how the transport is working. I have found issues with the front of this, so be good to show you guys this. Power is on. You can see we've got this here spinning and this here spinning. This is the take-up drive pinion right there. Basically what we've got going on here is 3 rubber idlers. There's one on each reel table, and then there's this one here for the fast wind. And in testing this, I have discovered that this idler is fine, and this idler is fine. This idler, not so much. So we're going to have to do something about that, possibly, if I can figure out what to do. But you can see how the auto stop works here. You've got this little arm here, that moves up and down. And actually, I'll just go for play right now so you can see what it does. Okay, it's in playback right now. You can see how this is working. And then when you stop the take-up drive, let's see if I can get you a good angle on this. There's this little white pin that moves back and forth. When you stop the take-up drive, and it's too easy to stop it right now, that's basically what it does. It hits that little center pin in there, and then the auto stop activates. But I will tell you that the entire transport seems to be working perfectly. So I got my linkages back in properly, and even the pause is working. This didn't work before. Well, as far as I knew, but it works now. Pause is done through that big black gear. I'll show it to you. You see that black gear right there in front of the flywheel? That is the pause. It's in play right now, and I'll show you what the pause does. Pause on, pause off, on, off. That's basically what it does. So no problems there. But we'll go back to the front here. I'll show you how things are working. This is rewind. I have plenty of torque on this. Gobs of it. It's not going to have a problem with that. But when it comes to there's just not enough torque there for my liking. So I'm going to try to find a better idler for this reel table, if I can. I don't know if I can. But yes, everything seems to be working. Fast forward. Little bit less torque than rewind because this idler's kind of on the way out, but whatever. It is what it is. So let me shut the power supply off now, and we will get started on the front of this transport. Now to get into this, to do all the work I want to do to it, I think I would like to take this door off. And I've been looking at this trying to figure out how the best way to do this is, and it kind of seems like the best way to do it is to just pry it out, because it doesn't look like there's any specific way to do it from taking out screws and such. Like there's a screw down here, but this is for the entire control button linkages, and I don't really want to mess with that. But while we're on that subject, I'm not really that fond of how Hitachi has this, because all these linkages are cheap plastic, and I could just see them breaking if they get gummed up too much. So not my favorite transport in the world, I have to say. But if I can find tools I need, maybe we can actually get into this. Okay, let's see if we can get the door off. We've got this damper to release over here. And I guess we'll see if... Oh yeah, it just pops out like that. Then we've got this spring on the other side, this one right here. You can kind of see that goes into this area of the door. So I guess that wasn't too bad. As long as I don't lose that spring or lose track of that spring, we're good. I'm going to need more paper towels, if I can find my paper towels. And hopefully we can get this all finished up today, because I would like the rest of my week to go without having to do much. Yeah, more liquefied belt, of course. Remains of the counterbelt, and the counterbelt's going to be tricky to identify on this, because I don't know if I can measure very well. But we got that little section of belt out of there. I'm going to have to get a ton more Q-tips out. I just know I am. Because what I would like to do now is I would like to get in where the counter belt rides and clean that out. Just digging out a bunch of old belt goo is all I'm doing right now. And there is a bunch of it. Look at this. It's been a long time since I've had a deck that's had this much belt residue in it. Now, in terms of idlers, I'm not going to bother pulling off the center idler to measure for you guys. I apologize. I would just rather not mess with it and end up having to replace it if I screw it up. So what I'm going to do, however, is I'm going to measure the outer diameter for you. That's about all I can do without taking it apart. And we've got 16 millimeters about. And can I get the height for you? 2.5, 2 millimeters ought to probably work. And then this idler over here is going to be the same as this one, so we'll get full measurements for that one. No worries there. Okay, what do I want to do next? We'll get to the pinch roller, I guess, in due time, but we might as well get the reel table done now. If I can get this washer off there. It's another one of those that are not a split washer. So these tend to be kind of tricky to get off sometimes. All right, got it. And it looks like the auto stop stuff is coming off with it. And we've got this underneath. Could probably take this apart, but I don't know that I actually need to. I will clean and relube this because we might as well while we're under here. Just give it a nice cleaning. Little bit of rubber residue on the brakes. If you can really call them brakes, but looks close enough to being brakes that I can just go ahead and call them that. There's only one brake shoe on this whole thing, and it's over on the supply side. Not exactly sure what they're doing here for back tension. There might not be anything there for back tension, but this is kind of at the point where I don't really want to take apart anything that's not necessary to come apart. But I'm giving some thought to taking this off and relubing under there since I'm doing the other side here. And it looks like we've got a pin on the back of this thing. Oh, I see. That pin engages with that spring that's on the other side there. I need to show you this. I may have to get a still from further back in the video so I can show you exactly how this this little spring in there goes in relation to the pin. Most likely it goes kind of, if I can get this back in here, most likely it goes to the right of the pin. But I will check on that to be sure. But I got more cleanup to do here, so I'm going to do that cleaning. Now, how in the blue devil am I going to get that idler out of there without destroying it? Because I might have to put it back on if I can't find one. And it's actually got some life left in it yet, I think. Just from the way it feels. It's not dead yet. It's just a little bit low on the torque. Okay, here is our idler. And here is our caliper. 19.4 outer diameter. Let me check the other one. The other one is 20.2 installed. So there is a little bit of a stretch going on here. Inner diameter is about 14.6-ish. Something like that. I can measure the other side too, maybe, if I can get the calipers in there. It says 14.9 there. So yes, there is a little bit of a stretch. Yeah, 15 millimeters. And then the thickness is 1.9. So let me rummage around through my box of stuff here and I'll try and find an idler for this. Okay, folks, bad news. I do not have an idler for this. I did have an idler for this, but as of right now, that idler is powering my TDV 931's take-up drive. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to replace this. What I am going to be able to do is do the rebuild in the bottle trick. I think the idler is just good enough that it can still be used as is. The take-up torque really wasn't that low, but it's just not quite as high as I wanted it to be. So we're going to get the rubber renew out, and we're going to do it that way. So I'll put some rubber renew on this, and we'll just clean it off with that. And you can see what it's doing to the idler right there. And this should get the idler to work a lot better. For how long? I don't know. So if you want to replace this idler, get one from Fix Your Audio, 14 by 19 by 2. That's the size. I have a 14 by 20 by 2 that would possibly work, but it would end up being 1 millimeter too wide in outer diameter once I put it on. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to reinstall the old one. Because Fix Your Audio idlers are expensive, and I would rather keep that one for something else. That'll restore some grippiness to that. It will work, I can tell you that right now, but one thing I would kind of like to do is get in here and finish cleaning out the center of the pulley, because it is still a little bit nasty up in there. And it appears I was correct about the placement of that pin. It goes to the right of that little spring down in there. So I'm going to get out my lubra plate, and I'm going to lube up the reel table. Again, lubra plate is just as good as Molykote EM30L. It's just I got to get rid of it, so I'm going to try to get rid of it. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of this stuff. Hold up. We got a potential problem over on the take-up drive. The pinion is split, it looks like. But we'll get to that in a second. What I want to do is put a little bit of lubra plate in here, just to make sure the auto stop continues to work properly. But what I'm talking about is over here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little bit of a split right there where my thumbnail is. Come on, camera. Let's show the people, shall we? Yeah, you can see the split right there. Right yonder. So I hope this continues to work. Kind of thinking about maybe I should apply a little bit of super glue to maybe keep that in place. But I want to see just how loose that is first. Oh, it's actually very loose. I think, yeah, I'm going to dab a little super glue on there, but first I'm going to grab my ISO alcohol and clean off this pinion just a little bit. I'm not going to take the pinion off. I'm just going to put some super glue right on the end where the shaft is. Not much, just enough to do the job. And I have found my super glue. Is it my super glue or my supper glue? Don't ask my detractors. Because you'll get a very skewed answer to that. Okay, hopefully that'll do the job. We shall see. And because we have to wait for that to set, we might as well get to doing this other reel table. Heck, I did one, let's do the other one. And there you have it, boys and girls. We've got a back tension spring under there. So there is, in fact, some attention paid to that by Hitachi. So I got that reel table off, and yeah, this idler is in great shape. We're not replacing that or doing anything to it. It doesn't even need the rubber renew. It is that good of an idler. And I'm now kind of tempted to go ahead and try to get this this fast wind idler off to measure it better for you, but I don't know, it's just really hard to get access to that one. No, I'm not going to be able to do that very easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to guesstimate. That's what I'm going to do. So what did we have for the thickness? 16.0. And let's see if I can estimate the hub. Should be right about there. I get 11 for that. So 2.5 millimeter wall thickness. Maybe, I think there's a little bit of leeway here. You could use something that's slightly wider in the outer diameter and it would still work. So hopefully that's helpful to you guys, because I do not want to get that off. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention is I actually tried to stop the take-up drive when the motor was running, and I can almost stop the motor with that, so I know I've got the right belt for that. I didn't change the belt at all. It's still that same one that I picked out before. And I should be able to, well, let me check the glue job over here first. It's not holding, is what it's doing. At least I don't think it is. No, it's not holding. I'm going to have to get a little more aggressive with the glue. And we have to be very careful here, because if we glue that pinion down to the shaft, and we get glue over on this white piece back here, then it's never coming apart again. And it's never going to spin again. At least I think that's how it works. Yeah, so how am I going to deal with this? Good question. Well, I'm going to have to get out a new super glue, that's for sure, because I think the one I used is a little bit done. I could put a washer in there and grease it up. That's what I could do. See, if I put a washer in there and I grease it up, then the super glue won't stick to the washer. But maybe the washer cannot be there. I'm not sure. Epoxy on the end might work better, actually. Okay, folks, so this isn't going to work with the pinion just getting super glue on the end. We have to get it inside the where the shaft is as well. So I got out these little itsy bitsy teeny tiny washers here. I think these are M1.2 washers. They're a tight fit on this pinion shaft here, but they will work, I think. So what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to back the washer away from the end of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some grease in here between the washer and the housing there. And that should keep it from gluing the pinion down to the housing. I hope. I think. I don't know for sure, but that's the only way to get that pinion back on without epoxy. Epoxy would probably work too, but I'm kind of married to the idea of getting this done today. I don't want to sit here and wait until Wednesday to finish it up. Push the washer down flat. Push the shaft down just a little bit to create a little space between the washer and the housing. And I'm going to have to clean the shaft now because we need something for the super glue to stick to here. And hopefully I'm not washing away all of the grease. And where's my pinion? There it is. And where's my super glue? Here it is. Smallest of drops on the end. Hold the pulley in back. Press the pinion on. And hopefully that will do the job and hold it in place. It should now. But I'll tell you what, if that doesn't do it now, then I'm going to go ahead and do the epoxy and just come back Wednesday. Folks, I am happy to report that this has now been repaired. It is not going anywhere, except where I want it to go. I've left a little bit of slop in the thing, so I hope the slip clutch is all right back here, because I don't think I can do much about it if it's not. But we'll see. Like I said, cheap tape tech. I'm not really that concerned about whether or not it works 100% properly again, just as long as it works kind of, if you know what I mean. So we'll get this back on. Then I will get out the bench power supply again, and I guess I will do a test before we proceed any further with this. Okay, moment of truth. Don't tell me I got it on the wrong side of that spring. I may have. Want to know what the problem was, guys? Pause button was on. I think we're good now, though. Got lots of take-up torque now. Plenty, in fact. And I think everything's working now again. Anyway, I can't find any more problems with it. I gotta clean this up again because I took the whole back of this thing back apart, but whatever. I'm glad it was that simple. I think it's working. Still not sure I got the spring back in the right position, but I can double check that again. I'm not sure why it's raising and lowering this. But it is working, so I don't know. I do have that pin on the right side of the spring, which is exactly where it is in my other footage from the other day, so I think it's right. I just don't know what's going on with the mechanism in stop mode, moving up and down with this thing. I guess we'll move on to pinch roller next, because this appears to be working correctly, despite all the various movements in here and whatnot. Another issue I found was the brakes were kind of sticking in the up position, so that was kind of jamming it up a little bit, but whatever. I don't know what the deal is with this transport. I just don't like it, I don't think. I hope the one in the big low D deck is not this bad, because this is annoying. Okay, let's do a pinch roller service. You'll have to excuse me. I just burned up about 20 minutes trying to figure out why the deck wasn't, or why the transport wasn't going into the record mode, only to come to a late realization that it has to have spring tension on that big spring way in the back there in order for the record linkage to engage. So record works, thankfully. Took me entirely too long to figure out the recording works, but it records, or the recording does work. So we got to get this pin out. Seems like I pounded that through the wrong way, but that wouldn't surprise me one bit. Kind of hard, kind of glazed, but it's going to have to do because I'm not replacing it. My precious pinch rollers, my new ones anyway, are not for decks like this. Okay, so we've got a 13 by 8.5 by what? 2mm pinch roller. So 13 by 8 by 2, that's what you would use for this. If isoalcohol doesn't harm these, then acetone doesn't either. And I've used it to pretty decent effect on some of these decks. Doesn't seem to do any harm whatsoever, so I'll keep doing it, I guess. And yeah, this is actually cleaning up fairly well. I'm getting a lot of garbage off the surface of the roller, which is expected. It is an old roller. And again, as always, we'll go in with the soap and water and wire brush after this. So I'll get my container full of water up here, and my brass brush. Give it a light clean first, and a light scrub. Oh yes, very grippy pinch roller. We're gonna be able to reuse this one easily. Now I'll just give it a brush, and it'll hopefully clean up all right. And I'll do that a couple of times, just to make sure I got this roller nice and clean and grippy again. And there it is. It's not perfect. There's a little bit of a line through it, but it'll do. It's plenty grippy. So I'm going to shut you off real quick, reinstall the pinch roller into the arm, and we'll get this deck back together. Okay, so the pinch roller is back in, and I have to correct my information from earlier as to how it goes in the deck. See if I can show you this. You remember the side of the pinch roller that's kind of pointing down? It does not actually go against the Capstan bearing housing. It goes back in there against the bottom of the pinch roller arm, where it sort of sticks out. That's why they had so much of that arm or that shaft sticking out underneath there. It's so that spring can engage. You can kind of see it there, and then when it comes up high enough, it hits this see if you can see it, this black plastic thing here, and that's how it goes. And then the other side of the spring just goes over top of you can see it there, over top of the arm, or whatever, this pin down here where I'm kind of pointing. I think that's how it goes. Well, actually, the bent over section of the spring doesn't quite contact the black bracket there. Anyway, it's in. I'm happy. So we're gonna call it a day on that, at least. There's more stuff to do in this deck, because of course there is. I should probably run the bench power supply again just to make sure that's proper, but I don't know, I'd kind of like to move on because I got to clean all the controls and all kinds of other stuff here before we can even test this thing. And I'm tempted to do it all Wednesday at this point because it's aggravating, this transport. Very aggravating. So I'm thinking we get the beauty plate back onto it now. There's one screw here for the beauty plate that has a washer on it. That goes on the right side. So, yes, let's get this back in because I am so sick of dealing with this transport at this point. Now, do we have any catches that we have to slide this into? There is one. It's in the middle here. I think that's it. This is where the catch is, on this little pin right there to hold the beauty plate in place. Right there, you can see it. So I gotta get these screws in, and beauty plate should be on for good, I hope. I don't want to have to get back into this thing ever, but we'll see what happens. And by the way, yes, I did clean the heads. I just used isopropyl alcohol because I think that's all it needed, but they should be clean. And I'm not going to worry about demagnetizing them because once it goes into record the first time, it'll demagnetize itself. So door time now, I guess. If I can get the door back on. This has been one of the most aggravating transports to service I've ever encountered, but that's Hitachi for you. Sometimes they just drive you nuts. So, can I get this on again? Remove the door again. Get this over top of that. Get the spring in there. You see what I mean about Hitachi being irritating? Because they're irritating me right now. Come on, stupid springs, stay where you're supposed to be. You too, Mr. Eject Arm. Come on, there we go. We have got the door back on. Except for the fact that I need to re-engage the damper, which I will do presently. Oh, what an aggravating tape deck, and I just realized I don't have a counterbelt on there yet. Time to take the beauty plate back off again. Okay, so as you can see, the transport is back in the deck and connected, and there's still a problem with this transport. I don't know exactly what's going on yet, but I'm going to try and figure it out. Play and fast forward work fine. Well, kind of fine. You can see it unspools an awful lot of tape this way, so I think I'm going to have to get back in there and pull some grease out or something. Not sure if the brakes are on or not. They are not on. Why aren't they on? What is going on here again with this thing? This is a very maddening transport, but it does play. I don't know if you can see the meters because they're kind of washed out by the lights above, but it does play. I got it to rewind once, but it just doesn't seem like it wants to anymore. It's not a torque issue as well, because when I eject and then go for rewind, no problem. I don't know if it's because I've got the beauty plate off or not. That could be it, but I don't know. I gotta try and pick a counterbelt for you guys though. So let me do that first before I try to get to the bottom of this. Okay, so the counterbelt for this deck is 170 millimeters internal circumference, and I had to use the 0.7 millimeter square belt for this because nothing else worked. Could not find one of the 1 mil belts to do the job because the auto stop kept kicking in. But in terms of why the deck isn't rewinding properly at the moment, see if you can spot the problem here. It's turning both hubs, and it should not be. I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to have to come back on Wednesday to figure that out, because I am not doing no more today. I am sick of looking at this deck, so I'm taking a break. Okay, folks, this deck may not be repairable at this point. Not exactly sure what's going on here, but I have found at least one serious issue with the brakes. Remember how it was unspooling the tape when it shouldn't have been? Well, I found that problem. This is the brake plate right here. And basically what happens is there's this little pin here. You remember that type of pin, right? Well, the little fitting that pin goes into is cracked. It's that little piece of plastic right in there. You can see the crack. So in order for me to get this back together properly, I have to, well, first find out why this entire sliding assembly isn't in place properly. And then I have to epoxy that back in, I think, because I don't think there's any other way to fix that. At least properly. It's friction fit, but yeah, I don't know exactly how to fix this, if it's even possible to fix. And yeah, I got my spring out of position again. This is that one spring that I was trying to unload before. It just fits right in there. Yeah, it wraps around that post, and then it comes over down into here. So let me see if I can find a way to fix this. Okay, folks, I had to strip this thing all the way back down again just to find this, but it appears that the brake assembly was just out of position is all. I think. I don't know. But there's a bunch of old nasty grease under here that I'm going to have to clean up and reapply, and then I'm probably going to have to super glue that pin back in, because there is just no other way to reassemble this properly. I hate this transport. This may never work again, but I will keep trying. Well, the deck is back together again, or the transport is back together again, and I think I've got all the problems fixed now, including the spillage when the fast forward stops. That was also related to the brakes, but I'll show you how it's working now. Power is on. You can see it's doing its thing in there, and we don't have this arm going up and down anymore. That was also a symptom of the problem. But let's see how things work. We'll do play first. No problem. Auto stop works. Fast forward, no problem. Rewind, no problem. It'll eventually auto stop now on rewind. I don't think it was doing that before, but it does now, I think. Yeah, it does. So, yeah, the thing about the tape unspooling and fast forward, that was this brake up here. It was basically too far away from the reel table to do its job, and to fix that, all I did was put a little twist on it so it came down a little further. So it should be working now, but we'll just check it. We'll get a tape, and I will show you how it's working. Okay, play. No issue. Rewind. No issue that I can find. Fast forward. And we'll see if it spills any tape. No, it's working. Finally, this transport is working. After I don't know how many hours, it's working. Seriously, I've been trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to charge future customers for my work, and I was kind of thinking $50 an hour, but for this deck, I've got like 5 or 6 hours into this, just trying to figure out what's going on with this thing and fix all the various problems it has. Who's gonna pay $250 to $300 for this? I don't think anybody would. So maybe I have to figure out a better pricing scheme for my services. But anyhow, this transport is now working finally, and we can move on to speed calibration, which I think is going to have to be out on the table like this, just connected back to the deck loosely, because otherwise I can't get a screwdriver back in there to adjust the speed. So let me set up for that and we'll do it. Have to leave the beauty plate off for now because I need to get the counter belt back on it later. And on that subject, I should let you know about the stuff I've done off camera. One is I've taken out the counter and re-lubed it with oil. It was making squeaking noises. I don't like that. So hopefully that's fixed now. The other thing I did was I got in under the board here. There is an access panel for the board. And I touched up a bunch of bad solder joints, mainly around the record switch back there. But that all got done. No major issues that I could find, but it's good to check for bad solder joints if you're going to donate something to a charity thrift store anyway. But whatever. Let's get this thing fired up and ready to calibrate speed. Okay, power is on. I will point you guys to the laptop. I don't know why I'm doing this. It'd be easier to do this with the oscilloscope. But I'm going to go in with the DD9's or DD99's test tape here, 3 kilohertz, and we'll calibrate to that. Do not expect miracles from this. It's not going to have good wound flutter. I'm sure it won't, but maybe I'll be surprised. Anyway, here goes nothing. Play. Yeah, really terrible wound flutter. 0.44%, and I may not be able to do any better than that. What I can do is dial the speed in. Hell, at this point I'm surprised the deck even works, or the transport even works. Yeah, wrong way. Motor's a bit twitchy for the adjustment. 3006, I'll leave it there. And what do we got here? We've got a big spike around 5 hertz. That might actually be the pinch roller, I'm not sure. Let me take a look here. We'll see if we can spot anything obvious in the transport. If the camera would focus. No, it's not the roller, but who knows what it is at this point. I actually got this thing up and running. That's all I care about. Oh no, actually it's probably the flywheel. Remember, it's cracked. I can see it moving back and forth. Not quite holding itself steady, so I'm going to wager it's the flywheel doing that, and I'm going to say that I probably cannot do anything about this. So why bother? This deck was never going to light the world on fire with its performance. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to throw this transport back in the deck. We'll give it a little listen, and then maybe see if it records, and then probably what I will end up doing is putting this on a shelf until the D980M is serviced, because I might need parts from this deck to fix the D980M, and there's no sense in me donating this to a thrift store with the current performance it has when I could possibly use it for parts. Alright folks, the deck is back together for the most part. I've got a few screws yet to put in, but whatever. Shall we see what this does for audio quality? I'm not expecting much. What was that sound I just heard? Oh well, I'm not sure I care. Let's get a tape in there and we'll see what it plays back. I'm expecting audible wow and flutter at this point because it was that high, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see, we need chrome. So we need those two switches in. Not sure about testing the recording ability, but I suppose we can do that. Maybe. But let's see what we get for sound. Yeah, I can hear wow and flutter. Go to the other side here. I don't know, it's not that bad. I'm still not crazy about this transport, but there's only so much you can do with decks that are this old, using transports like that are so full of old, brittle, broken plastic. It works well enough for a thrift store bargain deck anyway. I have put an awful lot of time into this for that kind of thing, but whatever, it is what it is. You can only do so much. So, against my better judgment, let me get the rest of the screws in this thing and we'll see if it records. Alright folks, we have a good Hitachi on the bottom and a not so good Hitachi on the top. Remember, the Sansui D-E25R is actually a Hitachi device. So that's what we're going to use for the signal source on this particular occasion. And I'll tell you right now, I'm starting to have second thoughts as to whether or not I want to actually do this one as my 3-head donation for Christmas. I don't know, I just kind of really like it, so not sure if I actually want to get rid of it. It is still working. Clearly this deck is still working. Yeah, this is one of the nicer auto reverse decks I have, so not sure about whether or not I want to replace it. But let me shut this off and we'll get a tape in here. Reset the counter. Set up normal. Engage pause. Should be in record, and yes, we've got an indication there. Set levels. Okay, we'll call it right there. Rewind. Okay, let's see what we got. No memory function on this particular deck, so had to watch the tape counter and stop it manually. Let's see if it recorded. It did record. We've got both channels and high wow and flutter, but what are you going to do? The Hitachi ML1 transport is very much not one that I would like to have further experience with based on my observations today. There's just way too much plastic in it, and plus the cracked flywheel, and plus all the other cheapness going on with it. At least it works now, we can say that about it. Anyhow, I'm calling this one a fix right now, so I will see you in the next video. Take care.